it is okay, then we are going to our main sections. That is called accounting equation. What do you mean by accounting equation? Assets equal to liabilities plus owner's equity. You can see. Previously, I have told that owner and business are totally separated from each other. They both are separate entity for themselves. You can see here. According to the business sides, you can see owner's equity is shown on the side of the liabilities. On the side of the liabilities, do you know why? It's an internal liability. Why? First of all, you need to get what does it mean? It means like that A equal to L plus OE. Your asset has 100 taka, like valuation of all assets, cash, everything. You have calculated that your total amount of asset is 100 taka and your external liability is 70 taka, and whatever owner invested to the business, that is considered as owner's equity, 30 taka. That means there must be asset equal to liability plus owner's equity. Both of the sides should be equal. Now you may have a question, sir, if it is not equal, if anything happens like that, my asset is 100 taka, sir, E and OE both are similar. E means equity, the claim of the owners of the business. What do you mean by equity? Equity is the claims of the owners in a certain organization. I am going to explain one by one. I will explain all the elements of the assets, liabilities, and owner's equity. Inshallah, at the time you will get all of this. What I am trying to say, try to get only these basic ideas. You may be asked a very quite common question: why assets should be always equal to liability and equity? Assume one thing: you have only 100 taka, and your creditor is 120 taka. Your total asset is 100 taka. So how can you easily pay 20 taka? By taking loan. You don't have any asset that by mortgaging it you can take any loan. According to the conservatism principle. What do you mean by conservatism principle? Conservatism principle means at the end of the year, if you run a business, you should always maintain a position where all income should be equal to all expenses. There are also another principles, like another definition, I can mention it. Probable expenses, probable expenses, and probable liabilities should be always shown in the business. Probable, that might be happened or not sure. Do you know why? As I don't have to go through any losses. Just save myself. Only for saving myself, only for saving my own business, we have to apply this formula. You have 100 taka, but you have taken loan from 70 and 50. That means 120 is your total liability. What is your shortest amount? 20 taka is your shortest amount. Do you know the term bankrupted or bankruptcy? Bankruptcy or bankrupted situation mostly happen in that situation. You have 100 taka, you have taken loan from common people or businessmen 150 taka. If we value your total assets, we can get only 100 taka. So how can you pay 150 taka? From where you will collect rest of the 50 taka? From your relatives, from your friends? No one, because you don't have any asset that you can collect it. That's why asset should be always liability plus equity. Is it clear, sir? Now you have to get what are the elements of the asset. There are two types of asset. The first one is the current asset, the second one is the fixed assets. To know about very well accounting, you have to have a very good idea regarding these elements. What are the elements I have said? A equal to L plus OE and basic rules of debit and credit. Basic rules of debit and credit. Basic rules of debit and credit. Sir, you must know about this. And you have to also remember, and you have to also identify what are the current accounts and why. You may forget, but if you logically try to learn it, obviously there is no chances to be forgotten. So first of all, we have to classify assets as two types. The first one is the current assets and the second one is fixed assets. Now you have to get what do you mean by current assets. we have to, again, I'm saying we have to always think on the side of the business. Current assets means those assets which can be easily converted to cash or liquid. This is the first definition. What I have said, that can be easily converted to cash or liquid, that should be considered as current account. Another way of another way of definition I can mention you. What is this? Current assets means those assets from which you can't expect or getting facilities more than 1 year. That means you will get only facilities less than 1 year. That should be considered as current asset. How? Try to get this one. Cash in hand and cash both are similar. If I have a business, what I have said, like habitators, try to get this one. Habitators, this is the beginning of the month, January 1, we have cash 2 lakh. Can anyone ensure that at the end of the December, the cash amount should be same? No one can even. You can just imagine on yourself, on the side of the yourself. How? In your wallet, if you have 1,000 taka, can you guarantee that you can keep it minimum 1 year? Most of the time I am using a single word 1 year, because whatever we are recording in the business is mostly calculated based on the 1 year. Every day, every month, they don't calculate anything based on always 1 year. Yeah, there are some exceptional, there are some periodical principles. An organization or an institution can keep their records most of the based on 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. But 3 months, 6 months is a very expensive process. Every time when you are recruiting some of the auditors to record or to evaluate whatever you are recording here, that should be one of the most expensive sector for the business. That's why most of the business organization usually like to keep their records and evaluate or value at the end of the year, minimum 1 year. So there is no security you can give that because of any crisis, this cash amount can be withdrawn, can be used, whatever might be happen. You can't get more than 1 year in the cash. That's why it's a current asset. According to the definition, cash in bank, cash and bank both are similar, or normal bank. Nowadays we are using bank as a cash amount. How? According to the American accounting standard, they are using cash instead of bank. Most of the transactions, whenever they are using check, they used to record it as a cash. Do you know why? You can see nowadays we are using debit card and credit card. So what is the function of it? Most of the cases we are using as a medium of cash. Whenever you need to pay any cash amount, you are using your cards. So here card is playing the role of cash. But according to the British accounting and their principles, they always consider check as a bank account. You can adopt any one of them. But again, my concept was not meant to you about this, but is regarding as it as a fiat. That's why I have discussed on it. Your bank is also similar to the cash. How? In your business account, if you have like 2 lakh, you can't ensure that at the end of the year you can't keep the same amount. It might be reduced, it may be increased, or there may be have empty balance. Anyone can be happen. That's why now you have to get also what do you mean by accounts receivable. If you want to know about accounts receivable, first of all you need to know why accounts receivable arrived in the accounting. And what is the origin of accounts receivable? Sir, account receivable is mostly origin from the on account sales. On account sales. On account sales means not cash sales, not cash transaction. On account taka 20,000. That means you have sold goods taka 20,000, but you haven't received any single dollar, money, or taka anything. The person to whom you are going to get money within 3 months. What is their tentative date? Tentative date is 3 months. It is a business rules. You have to pay within 3 months. So that means you know that if you sell on today without cash, you are going to get it within 3 months, not more than 1 year. That's why accounts receivable is a current asset. What do you mean by notes receivable? Nowadays we are using check. What is the function of the check? Check is mostly used to used in the banking sector, right? Notes receivable is also same. It's a bill of paper where there must mention a date when the receivable will pay. Obviously, the tentative date of receivable is also 3 months. Account receivable, it might be any person, it might be any organization. Try to get this one. It might be any organization, but notes receivable is a paper, is a document like check. There's a difference here, but both of the duration is 3 months. If I sell anything without cash, that means on account, I'm sure that I'm going to get this amount within 3 months. That's why it's not exceeded 1 year. That's why it's a current asset. Merchandise inventory or closing a stock or ending a stock, or sorry, all are similar. Different names or remaining goods or remaining. You can see here or remaining goods. Now you have to get what is exactly remaining goods. You can see in a business organization every day or every month or weekly or whatever they have to purchase many goods. Like I have purchased goods January 1st for taka 20,000 and February to like 50,000, like this till the end of the December. I have purchased how much? 1,20,000 takas goods. That's my total production. But at the end of the year, when I'm going to calculate it, at that time I found that from whatever I have purchased, there are some goods left. That means it's unsold goods. Again, I'm saying it's called unsold goods. You can see in a certain period of time or within a year, I have purchased total goods for my business organization and whose worth is taka 1,20,000, right? At the end of the year, I realized that there is only 40,000 takas goods remaining. That means we can't sell them. That is called like closing a stock or ending a stock or remaining a stock. It's obviously it indicates the current. It indicates the current asset. You can ask me, sir, why? It is recognized as a current asset. Do you know why? Because whenever you need any money, you can easily sell them at any time. You can make liquid money at the end of that, but it's not more than 1 year. Again, I am saying within 1 year, by using these as assets, you can only get some benefits from them. That's why it is called current asset. On the other hand, if needs any cases, you can also take loan from the bank by mortgaging these goods. So it's one of the greatest sources of the liquid money or cash amount. That's why it's a current account. Then prepaid expenses. What do you mean by prepaid expenses? For example, prepaid house rent taka 50,000. Now I have rented a room. Every month I have to pay like 20,000. That means as I have to pay this rent in every month is one kind of expenses for me. But I have paid total 50,000 as an advance amount. That means whenever I vacant this house, at the time owner won't ask for any money. Do you know why? Because there is also surplus amount of money I have deposited to him. That's why I said it's a current asset. That means I will get more than 2 months extra there, or I will get 2 months facilities from there. At the time, I won't even have to pay any single amount of money. Whenever I'm going to leave my house or whenever I'm going to vacant my house, at the time I don't have to pay any single amount of money. That's why it's called a current asset, prepaid expenses. Is it clear, sir? What do you mean by accrued income? For example, I am a job holder. I am used to earning money. Whenever I realize that I haven't get money for 3 months, how much? 3 months. According to the labor law, obviously it's mandatory for any organization to pay their their outstanding amount within 3 months. They can't exceed them. That means I'm sure that I'm going to get this amount within 3 months. So the amount which I haven't get yet, but I'm going to get it within 3 months, that should be considered as current account. Is it clear, sir? That's called current asset. Now move to the fixed asset. You can say, what do you mean by fixed assets? Fixed assets refers to a long-term, tangible piece of property or equipment that a firm owns and uses in its operation to generate income. I can simply define it. By using these assets, a firm or an organization can generate income for a long time, like 50 years, 100 years, more than. You have a building. You have a building and you have 60 flats, and you usually rent it to the your your clients. Just imagine one thing: every month you are going to get a huge amount of money. That should be your income. But in case of the assets, fixed assets, if you identify, there are two types of assets. The first one is tangible asset. Tangible assets. Sir, what do you mean by tangible assets? Tangible assets means those assets which can be touched. That is called tangible assets. Like building. By using a building, you can get facilities for many years. Land is also touchable. That means tangible. There might be given a creative question. Determine the total amount of intangible assets. What you may be given? Determine the total amount of intangible assets. You have to get it. What is the tangible assets and what is intangible assets? Then furniture and fixture. You can say furniture like table and anything like that should be considered as fixed asset. Office equipment or machinery. Equipment and machinery like fan, projector, whatever is a smart board light. So it's a machinery items, all of them. By using this port, we can get many more facilities than ever before. It helps us to generate our income. So that's why it's a fixed asset. Leasehold property. I can say one of the best example for you, as you can understand. All of you have a very good idea regarding leasehold property. How? Buying flat. Buying flat or apartment. It's one kind of the example of the leasehold property. Whenever you buy any flat or apartment, you minimum take it for like 99 years, or you can say 100 years. That means you are going to get more than expected years. That's why that should be considered as leasehold property. Plant and machinery, I have already discussed about. Now try to get this one. This all are called intangible asset. This all are called, sir, intangible asset. Intangible assets. Now you have to get, what do you mean by intangible assets? Intangible asset means those assets which can't be touched. Which can't be touched. That should be considered as intangible assets. How? Goodwill. Goodwill means good name or fame of any business organization. In Bangladesh, we know there are some of the famous brand of the sweets items. What are they? Fulkoli, Bonafol. Yeah, once they had a very good reputation, still they are leading or they are running their business. But there are some also companies that have very good names like Highway Sweets, Well Food, like this. Most of the people, based on their trust, based on their financial capability, they have choice to from different sources from where they can get these sweets asset. But for a classic customer, he always choose the company who have a very good name or fame. That is called goodwill. Then trademarks. Trademarks is a logo. Trademarks is a logo for anything. Now you have to get these two things: patents and copyrights. Patent is the right of innovative anythings. Innovative anythings. Innovative anythings. You are a scientist. Just for an example, you have produced a recent device. The ownership of the device is called mostly patents, as no one can copy it in the market, as no one can copy and supply in the local market without using your name. To make sure your property as it belongs to you, the ownership is mostly claimed by patents. Innovative anything, innovative anything that must have physical existence. On the other hand, copyright is mostly used for creative things. Creative things. What are the creative things? Like music, film, music, film. Then what can we use? Like books, publications, or research papers, all of them. Like creative any resources, if you want to claim as it is yours, there must have an ownership by the act, existing act of the estate, that is called copyright. That's what about we have learned about fixed assets. So now what you need to remember, you have to identify what are the name of the fixed assets, and you have to remember also this one, sir. You have to also remember what are the current assets. You have to remember these names. It will help you to identify basic rules of debit and credit. Otherwise you may have to go through a lot of troubles to do it, sir. Please, you have to get this one. What do you mean by liabilities? First of all, you have to get it. Liability is an obligations for us. For us means for my business to pay to my creditor. Is it clear, sir? That means I am bound to pay them. There is no way of escaping from there. If I purchase anything, that means I have to pay them, or cash, or after 1 month, 2 months, or within 3 months, I must have to pay them. The person or organizations to whom I am bound to pay something, that is one kind of liability or obligation for me. There are two types of liabilities. One is current liabilities, and the second one is long time liabilities. What do you mean by current liabilities? Sir, current liabilities is also similar concept of current assets. Minimum 1 year tentative period whenever you are bound to pay something to any organizations or to any persons, that should be considered as current liabilities. The first one is account payable. Accounts payable is mostly origin from the on account purchase. On account purchase. On account purchase taka 20,000. You can see here. That means you have purchased something, but you haven't paid anything. That means you are bound to pay him. Pay that organizations to whom you have promised to pay within 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months. You can see sometimes in the questions you may be given a questions like process taka 20,000 and terms 2 by 10. Terms 2 by 10 and 30. Did you ever see that? Is the terms or conditions. Whenever accounts payable is mostly generated, at the time they may be given a condition. For example, it's my account. I have processed something, but I haven't paid anything. That means I have to pay. How? You can see. Total duration is 30 days. Instead of 10, I should say like 30 days. That means within 1 month, I have to pay him. It's the total duration. Whenever I have processed that goods at the time, the terms was given to me. Okay, I agreed with him, with that seller, then he agreed to give it to me. Then they are given a term. What was that? 2 by 10. 2 by 10 means, for example, I have processed it January 1. That means within 10 days, if I pay him 20,000 taka at the time, he will give me 2% taka discount. That means 20,000 into 2% means 400 taka. Instead of 20,000 at the time, I need to pay only 19,600 taka. In this way, accounts payable is mostly generated in the business. Is it clear, sir? Again, I am saying there must be given a discount period. When? 2 by 10. That means within 10 days, if I am ready to pay 20,000 or if I pay 20,000, I will be given 2% discount. That means though I have purchased some goods which worth is 20,000 taka, if I pay within 10 days, I don't have to pay 20,000 taka. At the time, I have to pay only 19,600. So the person to whom I am going to pay, I am liable to pay, the person is considered as accounts payable. Accounts payable may be any organization or any person, sir. Organization or any person. And notes payable. So notes payable is a paper documents. It's an agreement, like check. That means I am bound to pay him within 1 month. is a security paper. Bank overdraft. Sir, bank overdraft is mostly noticed in case of the businessman, because businessmen mostly use current account. Only current account holders can be given bank overdraft facilities. Whatever they have deposited, they can withdraw more than their expectations based on their requirement. That's why it's a current liability. Expense payable or wages, salaries, rent payable. Here you can see, or you have to remember it in another way. Expense payable is similar to the outstanding. Outstanding is the similar as usual as well as accurate. You can see here, sir. Accurate, payable, all of them similar. That means you are bound to pay him within a certain period of time. In case of the wages or salaries, that means you are bound to pay within how many months? 3 months. That's why it's obviously it's one kind of obligation for you. On the other hand, income received in advance or unearned revenue. I am a job holder. I'm used to serving for my organization. Now, this month is March. For any reasons or for any emergency cases, if I take any advance amount of money for the 2 months or 3 months from my own business, that is one kind of indirect liability for me. For any cases, if I get any best options, obviously I can't switch from anywhere. Do you know why? The first one is I have already taken the amount of money as a salary in advance. For those months, I need to give my services to that organizations. That's why it's an indirect obligations. And in case of the long-term liabilities, it's quite common. Most of the cases you can see like loans or 10% loan or mortgage loan, long-term loans, capital lease, and bonds payable. All of them considered are mostly long-term liability. Is the most easiest one. You can see here 10% loan, or I can define it also another way. Except this one, except these liabilities, whatever you will be given, that should be considered as always long-term liabilities. Is it clear, sir? Now, owner security. What do you mean by owner security? Sir, owner security means the claims of the owners in a business organization that should be considered as owner security. Here are some elements of the owner security. What you can see is a basic format: C plus R minus D minus C. That means capital plus revenue minus drawing minus expenses. Now you need to get when the owner security increases and decreases. That means the claims of the owner increases and when decreases. Try to get this one. You can see here capital plus revenue. What I have said here, increases in owner security. If owner brings anything to the business, that should be considered as capital, as well as the more revenue my business organization generates, the more claims of the owner will be increasing. That means because of capital and owner's revenue, the owner's equity mostly increases. On the other hand, because of drawing and expenses, you can see because of the drawing of anything from the business, the capital must be reduced. How? For example, owner invested capital taka 1 lakh. You can see here 1 lakh. That means the owner of the business is 1 lakh taka. Somehow for his emergency cases or other reasons, if he withdrew taka 30,000, you can see here because of withdrawal amount, the capital amount also reduced. That means owner's equity decreases. In case of the expenses increases means indirectly it reduces the revenue. That's why here I have mentioned that because of capital and revenue, I can say here like that: capital plus revenue minus drawing minus expense. How you can remember it? You can note down it. Whenever capital and revenue is mostly increases in the business, the owners of equity also increases. On the other hand, drawing because of drawing and expenses, the owner's equity mostly decreases. Again, I am saying the more income or the more capital was brought by the owner in the business, the more equity will be increased in the business, or the claims of the owner will be increased in the business. On the other hand, the more drawings and expenses will be increases, the more equity will be decreases, because of the drawal of the amounts or goods or anything, capital reduces. On the other hand, because of the increment of expenses, the revenue amount usually decreases. That's what we have discussed on today, sir. What you need to remember, again I am saying, you need to be familiar with the elements of liabilities, elements of current assets, fixed assets, all of this, and you have to remember it. if you get this one, inshallah, whatever I am going to deliver in the next class, you can get it. From our next class, we will start from the basic rules of debit and credit. But again, I am saying, if you want to do it, first of all, you need to remember all of this. So that's all for today, sir. And stay healthy and always safe. Thank you so much. Salam.